New new video series, new setup, sort of. It's a little different here. We kind of got it more. I'm sitting there kind of behind my desk. But anyway, wanted to do something I like to call Wrasslin What If, where we take a look at something that happened in real life and we think about what if it hadn't happened or what if it had been changed somehow. Pretty simple concept. Uh, I wanted to take a look at some things that haven't really been talked about because I know some wrestling channels do stuff like this. And I had an idea in mind. I'll do it later. Definitely it'll be the episode 2. I'm going to do at least 2 episodes of this. I keep making these shows. I don't really make new episodes of. Like, remember Lost in Fault? I have an idea for a number 3 of those. Though. But anyway, this one, though, was a request by Sora. My lovely, awesome friend. Amazing sis, Sora. So, this is going to be if Rick Rude had not got injured in Japan in 1994. Now, to take you back a bit, or if you don't really know, in 1994, in a show in Japan, Rick Rude, who was the WCW International Champion, which was basically, it wasn't quite the NWA title. It was like the NWA title. They'd already made another NWA title, so this was a title that had been in WCW. It was NWA, but they kind of changed the name, but it looked like the NWA title. So it's really confusing, and it basically has the same ranking as WCW World Title, or maybe not. It's kind of hard to tell because like both titles, it's like how you have the Universal and WWE today, but with more confusing names. So he was defending the title, and he took a very bad bump on a rampway. With Sting, basically, he took like his back kind of fell off the rampway with Sting hitting the splash onto him, and he still won the match. And then afterwards, he was stripped of the title because the storyline reason was because he used the title belt as a weapon in the match. Then Sting had a match with Vader at the next pay-per-view, which was Slamboree for the vacant title. Okay, so let's take a step back and think about how. Hold on, just a minute. Keep my phone near me, just in case. Okay, let's see how it would be if he never had taken that bump. All right, so right off the bat, he doesn't take the bump and he retains the title. He can cheat if it don't really matter. And then we head into Slamboree. Now, Sting still takes on Vader here, but not for a title. And Rick Rude defends against a guy he's feuded with before. A man he's faced several times a few years earlier, and they had some great matches, being Ricky Steamboat. This is around the time he just returned to WCW, so he returns to WCW. Oh, no, I think he'd been there for a little bit. I think he was gone for whatever. Anyway, him and Ricky Steamboat have... Oh, no, not Ricky Steamboat. I like Ricky Steamboat, but instead of Ricky Steamboat, because I know he was on this card, we're going to change it around, and Dustin Rhodes will receive a title shot. Because I don't think Dustin Rhodes ever had a world title shot on pay-per-view. Like, ever. Like, in any company. So, let's give him one here, because he had feuds before Rick Rude. So, it makes sense to build that up and give him a title shot right on pay-per-view. And Rick Rude still wins clean. And so that builds up to, on the same night, Ric Flair won the WCW World Heavyweight title. And the next month, in real life, he unified it with Sting's international title at Clash of Champions. Well, we're still going to do a unification match, but it's going to be Ric Flair versus Rick Rude, who have now, at this point, this is the guy that Rick Rude beat to win the international title way back in September the previous year, in 1993. And here, he beats Flair, but he doesn't do it clean. He has some help. He wallops him. Oh, no, actually, it'd be the other way around. My bad. Flair actually beats Rick Rude, but not clean. There's a ref bump. Rick Rude goes to hit Flair with the title, but he gets hit with a low blow with the international title. Flair hits him with the title and locks in the figure 4, and he's out, so he gets a 1-2-3. After this, Hulk Hogan is in the ring for WCW Saturday Night, having just announced signed his contract and make a big deal. And he's talking about how happy he is to be here to make his first appearance. And he has one goal in mind here, 2 goals. 1, to take WCW to the next level, to make it the number 1 company in wrestling. And 2, to be the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, because that title has the prestige. It's been around for 100 years. Not really, but, for his storyline. And he wants to win that. He's never held it. And then out comes Rick Rude. And he basically says, who the hell do you think you are to step into my ring here, where I've been here for the last 4 years, building up a legacy, winning world title after world title, and you think you can just get a title shot just handed to you? And he says, Hogan, we were in the same company for 5 years. 5 years, and you were the top guy, I give you that, but you never once faced me And you know why? Because you were scared. You know I could destroy the aura, the myth of Hulkamania. Because you have always been afraid of ravishing Rick Rude. And then they tease like a little fight. But of course, Rude leaves. And then the next week on Saturday night, we get Jimmy Hart out in the ring for a random promo, kind of talking about, Hogan and Rude. And Rude attacks him and hits him with a pile driver. And Rude is awakening. A Rude awakening. He's taken away on a stretcher. But he does say later, in like a later interview, that he will be at Bash at the Beach, which is Hogan's first match, ringside, wearing a neck brace on doctor's orders to watch Hulk Hogan beat Rick Rude. That's our next match in this what if scenario. Now, on the same night, Ric Flair defends the title against Vader and Sting in a triple threat. And it's not really that important other than the fact that Ric Flair kind of cheats to win, as he's done to do. When Vader hits the Vader bomb, jumping splash on the Sting, he hits Vader in the back where the World Heavyweight title just whacks him and kind of tosses him off and then pins Sting. Okay, so the main event, though, of this show, Bash at the Beach, is Hogan's first match WWE against Rick Rude. And Hogan beats Rude because it's Hogan's first match, so he has to win. Because Hogan beats Rude. Then right after this, though, right after this show, two things start to happen. One doesn't really concern Rick, but it will later on. And that's Ric Flair slowly, the other Rick, turning heel, becoming a bad guy. Because at this point he was a face. He was actually a heel in real life at this point, but in my story he stayed a face till this point. So that happens. He's slowly turning heel, which will be building up to Halloween Havoc, him and Hogan, for the first time ever for the WWE title. On pay-per-view, at least. Because they had matches in house shows, I know. However, Rude will form an alliance with Vader. A tag team alliance. That will basically go around beating the piss out of everybody. Called Pain and Gain. Pain and Gain. They win their first tag match at the Clash of Champions against the Armstrong brothers. And afterwards, they start targeting the tag team champions, who in this reality, I believe Foley had quit by this point, but we're going to at least have him signed till Halloween Havoc, at the very least. So, it's going to be Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan, who are tag team champs, and they're going to defend against Pain and Gain. And in the build-up to the match, Vader starts talking about how he's felt the last year of his life, he failed himself, because he did not end the career of Cactus Jack in their, was it Submit or Surrender? No, Texas Death Match. He did not end his career. He has to live with the fact every day that he failed to do that, and it eats him up inside. It makes him feel like a joke, so he needs to finish his job at Halloween Havoc. And Rick Rude starts talking about Kevin Sullivan, saying he's nothing but a hyped up little person. He's a wannabe Napoleon, but he's never been anything but a loser. And even he starts targeting at some point Nancy Sullivan, saying, this guy, he's such a joke. Even his wife would rather be with me than with him. Typical Rick Rude stuff. So we had the match Halloween Havoc. And Pain and Gain win the tag team titles in a fun little match between Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan. I think this would be a great match. And I think these two would make a great tag team. Give them a nice little theme, too. I don't know what the theme would be. Maybe something like do 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 do. Start with the freaking stripper music and then go to the big heavy hitter. Shit. But yeah. Okay, and then in the same night, Hogan, if you're curious, beats Flair. That'll come into play later. And otherwise, there's not enough pay-per-view. There wasn't a World War III yet, so there's no pay-per-view in between these two. So there might have been a clash. If there's a clash, they just to give a rematch. No, they don't give. They defend the titles against some random. They defend them against somebody else, because at Starrcade, we have a big match, a tag team Texas Death Match between Vader. So yeah, in this storyline, Cactus will actually be signed until the end of the year. We don't let him go till the end of the year at the very least, in my scenario. And I hope I have enough room to put all this, because this is just 94, and we haven't got to 95. And I'm going to keep doing this, basically, until around 99, because that's when, in real life, Rick Rude passed away. And I don't know if in this scenario, if he would have still passed away, but I'm just going to, either way, I feel like by 99, maybe he would have retired. So I'm just going to keep it kind of in the idea of a 5-year span. But looking at the time, I'm already around 10 minutes here. And I haven't even finished 94. And that's like half of 94. So I still have 95. Anyway, kind of working on this as I was walking earlier and kind of thinking about it. Anyway, so at that, the Texas turned in a match against Cactus and Kevin Sullivan against our guys, our Pain and Gain. The same night, two other big matches. Hogan beats Flair in a retirement match. It's Starrcade, just like he did Halloween Havoc, but now it's even the cage, everything, keep all that. That just, a little side to let you know where that's going, the world title. It'll be important later. Also, Macho Man makes his first appearance here on pay-per-view anyway. He doesn't have his first match. He just has appearance. And we have a tag team match, a huge tag team match. In the build to this, the Nasty Boys have been attacking Brian Pillman, hitting him with big moves, double teaming him. But he reveals he's going to have a tag partner, Starrcade. And we get the reunion of the Hollywood Blondes beating the Nasty Boys because they should have did that. So with the next show, the Clash Champions, we have basically 3 matches. Hogan against Avalanche, aka Earthquake, in the main event. And the first, Macho Man Randy Savage versus Bunkhouse Buck in his first ever WCW match, at least televised. And then we have the Hollywood Blondes reunited, and it feels so good, taking on Pain and Gain. In that match, they have a pretty good little match. In the end, Hollywood Blondes get the win. And after the match, Vader and Rick Rude look very not happy. They're leaving to the ringside. They're going back to stage, and then we go to commercial. We come back. Macho Man is making his way to the ring. He's celebrating, and all of a sudden Rick Rude comes out, starts attacking the Macho Man, slams his leg on the ringside area several times, and hits it with a steel chair, leading to the Macho Man being in pain and questionably in the match. Bunkhouse Buck comes out. He's like, "You go fight me, Macho." And in the end, Macho does. He sells the leg, but he still wins the match. But this starts a feud between him and Rick Rude. And then also later in the night, if you're curious, to just go on with Vader, because there's a lot of Vader stuff here. Hogan beats Avalanche and is attacked by Vader. Start feud between those two. So Super Brawl, Rick Rude versus the Macho Man, Randy Savage, in a big feud between the two. A match I don't think has ever really happened, at least not in the big pay-per-view setting. And in this match, Rick Rude beats Macho Man clean. Now in the build to the match, Macho Man gets a couple more wins Saturday night to kind of build himself up. Rick Rude gets the win clean. That leads to our next match at Uncensored, where it's going to be a tag team, no DQ, no countout match with a team of Pain and Gain reunited, and it feels so good. They never really broke up technically, so I guess it's not reunited, but whatever. Against Hogan and Macho Man, but who are now known as the Ultra Maniacs. No, not the Ultra Maniacs. The Ultra... That sounds too much like Ultra Maniacs. The Ultra Powers, what I meant to say. Because they were called the Monster Maniacs. And that's a pretty good name, but I feel like you could use that for another team. So, okay. So this is a tag team match. However, their special role here is that the world title's on the line. And you can pin anybody in the match to get the title. Well, you can't pin your own partner, but you can pin like the other partners. And the end of the match is actually Macho Man Randy Savage hitting the big elbow drop on Rick Rude to win the WCW World Heavyweight title, because he waited way too long to win that title. He should have won it sooner. And he shouldn't have had to win that bullshit 60-man Battle Royal. That's kind of a side. Also, he gets his win back over Rick Rude. He puts him over clean, and then he gets win the title, so that's cool. And then that builds up to Spring Stampede 94. The first one, I believe. No, 95. Doy. Anyway, the Doy. Yeah, 94 was the first one. Rick Rude gets a title shot. These are basically rematches from Super Bowl. So also Vader takes on Hogan. And at Super Bowl, Hogan actually beat Vader, but he actually had to use a chair to do it. But Vader was going to use a chair first. There was a rev bump, and he gave Vader a chair. Not that important. But if you're curious, Vader beats Hogan earlier in the night. Clean. Vader gives Hogan his first loss. There's a little casual side there, booking Vader good. And in the main event, Macho Man beats Rick Rude to retain his WCW World Heavyweight title. That's going to build the Vader and Macho the next month anyway. Now, the next pay-per-view, in the build-up to it, Rick Rude starts randomly attacking Sting again, and he claims he's sick of Sting. He's dealt with him for years. Now, he wants to end his career. He says too many times he's had to deal with the Sting, and more than anything, he also hates seeing the little stingers and all their stupid little faces. They make him want to vomit, and are all ugly and horrible people. And anyway, the only problem with this, I have to keep holding the camera too. Like my Harley Quinn poster here. Anyway. Hold on. So we get Sting. Also, Sting starts saying, "Well, I want to end your career, brother." So we get Sting and Rick Rude at, Slamboree 95 in a loser leaves WCW match. And the real reason this is happening is because Vince McMahon has shown interest now in Rick Rude and has called him and asked him to come back to WWF. And they've agreed to a lump sum, nice little chunk of change, because Vince McMahon really needs some strong heels. They can actually wrestle. Because you basically had Sid and Mabel. And a few other, like Hakushi was good, but like they never really pushed him that far. Well, anyway. So, Rude loses. He does the JLB. And the next night on Raw, he actually makes his return live. Like, if there's, I don't think there's a 90-day no compete clause or whatever, but if there is, WWF can pay it so he can appear on Raw the next night. He beats Barry Jannetty in about 6 minutes flat in a King of the Ring qualifier, and he cuts the same promo in the beginning about, I like to have all you sweat hogs. But he says at the end, he's going to be the King of the Ring because he's tired of seeing all these fat, out of shape slobs being passed as royalty and going to show him what real royalty looks like. And Jerry Lawler's a huge market, this guy, even though he hates Bret Hart for being the king or whatever, he hates Bret Hart, let's be honest. Alright, so this leads to the King of the Ring tournament, where the Rick Rude in this tournament is in the final against Shawn Michaels. And these two have a really good match, and Rick Rude wins clean, 100% clean, no tricks, no dirtiness, just because Shawn doesn't job that much, so who cares, Put over Rick Rude. You don't like it, go credit a click. Anyway, King Ravishing, we get a ceremony. Also, one other change I'm going to make in this pay-per-view, because it's one of the worst pay-per-views of all time. I think it'll be better the way I'm booking anyway, because you get Rick Rude and Shawn in the main event, so you're obviously not getting King Mabel anywhere near it. I would have, if I was going to put King Mabel there, I'll have Shawn, super kick him out of the ring and win my count out. I don't even think I'd have him in there, though. I'd have him at just a random tag match earlier tonight. So, instead of making Jerry Lawler and Bret Hart in that horrible Kiss My Foot match, which sucked all the ass and sucked all the energy out of the room if there was any left, I'm going to have a storyline where after Day in Your House, Ted DiBiase approaches Bret Hart wanting to join the $1 Million Corporation. And Bret's like, no. So he keeps getting attacked by the $1 Million Corporation, what's left of him. So he has a match here against Kama, who's not in the tournament this time. He was in the real one against Shawn. But he faces Kama, where the stipulation is if he loses the Kama, he has to join the $1 Million Corp. But if he wins, they leave him alone. And Bray wins. Because why not? And then, okay, so the next night on Raw, Rick Rude comes out and starts talking about how he's the King of the Ring, and now his next goal is to be the WWF World Heavyweight Champion. And he starts talking about, instead of saying, what I'd like to have is all you fat, lazy, out-of-shape sweat hogs, keep the noise down while I hit my music. He says, what I'd like to have is all you fat, out-of-shape sweat hog peasants bow in honor of your king and pay your respects. Well, he gets big heel heat, and out comes Razor Ramon. And Razor was not in the tournament in real life, so you're going to keep that legit because he was really hurt. So he's basically going to say, hey, Chico, the only reason you won the King of the Ring, because I wasn't in it. And then they get in a brief scuffle, and that leads to the next In Your House, where it's Razor Ramon and Ravishing Rick Rude, one-on-one. Now, in this match, we don't get a clean win. We get a dirty win, but that's for part of a storyline, you'll see. Because Jim Cornette starts running out near the end of the match, gets on the apron, and a little before this, Razor Ramon, Ravishing Rick Rude brought the scepter in the ring, was going to hit Razor, but he got kicked to the gut and took a Razor's edge, and then that's when Jim Cornette comes. He gets punched off the apron while the ref's distracted. Rick Rude goes, he crawls. Both these guys have the same initials too, RR. He crawls against the scepter, he cracks it over the head of Razor, he makes sure to get rid of the evidence, and he pins him. And then the next night on Raw, we have an interview, backstage thing, where Vince McMahon is asking Rick Rude, are you working with Jim Cornette? Are you in Camp Cornette now? And Ravishing Rick Rude says, don't be ridiculous. I'm not working with Cornette. My phones have been ringing off the hook from Ted DiBiase and Jim Cornette ever since I returned here because I see a true piece of talent and they both want me. But for right now, at least until the price is right, I'm a solo act. And I only have one goal in mind, being the WWF World Heavyweight Champion. So, and then for other, let's say the early night on the pay-per-view for this will be sort of important. Diesel beat Hakushi in the main event instead of Sid. We had Hakushi get a title shot. Because Hakushi only has one loss. And he can win some match on Raw to get a shot or something. So, the same night on Raw, there's an interview segment with Diesel talking about his reign, and Sid, and the $1 Million Corp comes out, especially Sid, and he wants a title shot, and Sid, he's like, you never beat Sid. Diesel says, well, and he's also talking about Rick Rude. He mentions how he's ready for him if he wants to face him. He's more than happy to defend against him anytime. And basically, Diesel says, all right, here's the deal. I'll give you a rematch, Sid, for the WF title. But it has to happen next week, and they have free conditions. It has to happen next week. I get to pick the type of match, and if I win, The $1 million corporation breaks up. They're no more. They're done. They're Dunsky. So Sid agrees that we get the lumberjack match. We got what was on the pay-per-view, but now it's going to be the opening of the Raw the next week. So that match happens. Diesel wins, beating the one of the, I think the biggest heel stable at that point in WWF, breaking them up because they were already pretty much dead anyway. Like I know later 1-2-3 Kid joined them and Stone Cold debuted joined them, but I mean you could just have Ted be their manager. You don't have to have the $1 million corp for that, and they were pretty much dead in the water. Although I kind of wish we would have got a tag team with the Kid and Stone Cold. This feels like it would have been a very nice team. X-Pac and Texas Rattlesnake running it down. Oh, hell yeah! team Free 16 420. Team Suck It and Open a Can of Whoop Ass. Skull and Head. Get it, because X-Pac is always doing it. Nah. Crotch chop and middle finger. Anyway. And then after that match, Diesel wins and all the Lumberjacks leave. And Razor comes in the ring. In the beginning of Raw, and he starts beating. And he attacks him from behind, hits the Razor's edge, gets a title, puts it on his waist, and he also whacks Diesel with it. And that leaves in the main event. We get a match with Rick Rude beating one. Speaking of the 1-2-3 Kid, he beats him. After the match, Diesel comes out and he's all pissed off, and the officials are holding back. And then we find out, it's been made official by Gorilla Monsoon at SummerSlam. Ravishing Rick Rude and Diesel for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Well, pretty good so far. We got the RD95. And I still have a little time left. Okay. So at that match, at SummerSlam 95, where you get Ravishing Rick Rude. These R's got me all fucked up. Okay. So here's what happens. Ravishing Rick Rude wins the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Hell yeah. Because Diesel had the title this time for like 8 months. He didn't need it for a whole year. He really didn't. You still have time. Brett can still win it from Razor. Spoiler alert, I guess. Survivor Series. Alright. Want to cover a little more here. Okay, so he doesn't win clean, though. He actually hits Diesel with the title. There's a ref bump. He hits him with the title. And then he hits a Rude Awakening on him after that. Rude Awakening neck breaker. Because he wants to make it. He actually picks him up like dead weight and hits it. And gets a pin. So we still do the triple header pay-per-view at In Your House. And now it's Ravishing Rick Rude and Shawn Michaels, Intercontinental Champion, against Owen and British Bulldog. British and Yokozuna, my bad. Now, in this match, I'm going to set it up. I never got an official word. I heard before it was because Owen was leaving to be at the birth of his son. But I don't think that's true because he comes later in the match. So why would he be gone for like 2 hours? Unless it was in that. And this was not in Canada. So it's a very strange story. I don't really think that's true. I think they just made that story up. I think they just wanted an out to explain why. So in this one, it's actually Owen Yokozuna. And in this match, near the end, Ravishing Rick Rude grabbed Jim Cornette, froze the Cornette in the ring. The Cornette. He froze the racket in the ring to go to Owen. But all of a sudden, Rick grabs it. And then Cornette looks surprised. And then he whacks Shawn Michaels with it behind the ref's back. And he leaves him there so Owen can pin him. And then at the end, he reveals he's joined Camp Cornette. And the next Raw, he basically says the money was right and they knew true talent. And now Kevin Cornette has a champion, a world champion for probably the first time ever. I mean, I know they had Yokozuna, but that wasn't Camp Cornette. That was just Cornette at Fuji. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so now Shawn is pissed off, obviously, Razor. In the next pay-per-view at the Great White North, Owen Hart defends against Razor Ramon. And he actually beats Razor this time. Because Razor doesn't really need the title. He won here. Oh, Razor does get it back. He gets it on the Halloween Raw about 2 weeks later. So he does still get it. He just doesn't get it here. Because you need to give it to him to build up for Goldust, But at the very least, Owen Hart gets Intercontinental title reign a few years early, which he deserved. He should have had the Intercontinental title, like, 94. After he beat Brett at least. Like, come on. Unless you're going to get the world title, that should have been what their next goal. Anyway, so at the next pay-per-view, it's a triple threat match. For the first time ever in WWF, right after the triple header, so you can actually call this, instead of Great Red North in Your House, triple threat, Diesel getting his sort of rematch, and Shawn. And in the end, Diesel hits a jackknife fireball on Shawn. And then he gets hit with the racket and falls out of the second rope, and then Ravishing Rick Rude pins Shawn. And that leads up to Bret Hart and Ravishing Rick Rude at Survivor Series, where just like when Bret beat Diesel, this time he beats Ravishing Rick Rude to become the WWF World Heavyweight Champion for the 4th time, I think. Either way, Oh, I think it was the first time. But either way, so, and he still faces British Bulldog at the season Venus. And at pay-per-view, we also get a rematch of Razor Ramon and Ravishing Rick Rude for the Intercontinental title this time. Kind of switching off now. He goes for that title, and Razor Ramon wins that match. Basically getting his win back, even though the other one was dirty. He gets it back. Now, at this point, I think I'm going to have to put a pin in it, kind of call it a video. I probably have to do a part 2 to this, because this is just the first year and a half after if he didn't retire, because he still has more to do here. But right now, I feel like it's been a pretty good job, because his reign extended a little longer. He got wins over the Macho Man and Shawn Michaels. He won the tag team titles. He also got to be a world champion in WWF, which he never did. So, for now, yeah, we'll put it right here because this is actually a good time to end it. It's like a year and a half. And when we come back, we're going to look at what he does in the Royal Rumble. Now, he's not going to win the Royal Rumble, in case you're wondering. He will probably have a good showing with that. We'll talk about like what's the plan for him WrestleMania 12 and all that. Because I don't even know if I worked that on my head yet. But this is it for now. I'm definitely going to do part 2 to this video. Probably part 3. Because I'm going to try to keep doing it until 1999 at least. And then that'll be the end of it. And then I'll probably do the next video, which itself will also probably be several years. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and stay on the lookout for part 2. I should probably do it in probably a couple days here or so. Probably around the 3rd or so, maybe. Hopefully. If I'm not too swamped. Anyway, thank you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.